Sorry about that. Little interruption. Right. Come on, Splat. What are you waiting for? Light the candle so we can cut the cake, says her cousin Vera, another green dragon who also developed her dragon skills at a very young age. Yeah, come on, light the candles, everyone seems to be saying at once. Splat decides right then and there that they're right. This is her 100th birthday and she is ready to start breathing fire. She takes an enormous breath, feeling the olive oil heating up in her stomach, and fixing her gaze on the candles in front of her. But just as she is ready to burn those candles into molten wax, she hears Angus, her little brother, make a disgusting noise, and her newfound determination fades into nothing. The breath comes out of her with barely a wisp of smoke. Silence. Dead silence. Nobody says anything. Give it one more try, her mother starts to say, but Splat is already running away. Whoops. Sorry. Here's the... Yep. So she's just about to blow out her candles, but anyway, didn't happen. Splat is already running away, leaping from the cliff top and diving as fast as she can for the forest below. Soon she is deep in the trees, where there is no one to hear her crying her little heart out, the dragon tears falling like quicksilver from her eyes. Soon she is fast asleep on the forest floor, hidden from those who might try to find her from the skies above. Half an hour later, Splat wakes from her sleep, unsure of her surroundings or what may have woken her. "Hi-ya!" says a tiny little knight, erupting from the undergrowth to strike the sleeping dragon in the ribs with a wooden sword. Splat is so surprised that she barely thinks to wonder if there are any more of them, or if she should be afraid. "What are you doing?" she asks, staring in wonder as the tiny knight attacks her again, beating the wooden sword against her shining red scales. "I'm stabbing you in the stomach," says the tiny knight, a mop of straw-coloured hair coming down from beneath the saucepan that she's wearing as a helmet to almost completely cover her eyes. "Are you really?" says the bemused dragon, the weight of her emotions slowly lifting as she ponders the unexpected situation. A very short time ago, she would have welcomed the sudden end that a real knight would have brought her at the end of a deadly blade. But now she is curious to see what manner of creature is hiding underneath the cooking pot helmet. "Yes, I am. Take that, you stinky dragon," says the tiny knight, lunging to stab the wooden point of the sword in the general direction of her heart, the only known way to kill a real live dragon. "Did you just call me stinky?" Splat asks, managing to sound convincing as only a dragon can in such circumstances. "Yes, I did. You're the stinkiest dragon I have ever killed," replies the tiny knight. "And just out of curiosity, how many dragons have you killed? If you don't mind my asking." "I do mind you asking, so mind your own stinky business." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realise that. Just a little to the left, if you don't mind." "That's it." "I'm not here to scratch your itches," yells the tiny knight. "I'm a dragon slayer. Once I've slayed you, I'm going to slay all the dragons in the whole wide world." "Oh, really?" asks Splat, an almost imperceptible smile creeping across her shiny red lips. There's a saying amongst dragon slayers, but I'm sure you've already heard it. The tiny knight stops in frustration, her chest heaving with the effort of beating the wooden sword against the dragon's armoured skin. "Well, what is it?" the tiny knight asks, glaring angrily from beneath her mop of unruly hair. "Oh, it's just something I've heard dragon slayers say from time to time. You probably wouldn't be interested." "I am interested. Just tell me what it is." "Well, if you really want to know..." "Tell me now, you stupid dragon, before I have to kill you again." Splat looks at the tiny knight with a sideways glance, drawing out every moment of anticipation, until, with a sigh of regret, she speaks. "Slay it, don't spray it." The tiny knight is too outraged to speak, trembling with anger under her cooking pot helmet, and barely able to contain her fury. But before she can vent her rage on the reptilian prankster, they hear the noise of someone pushing through the undergrowth. "Helmet, where are you? Who are you talking to?" a voice from somewhere nearby asks, the sound of their approach getting louder until a young woman steps out of the trees, looking up to see the dragon and stopping dead in her tracks. The Splat doesn't move, but in an instant she has taken the newcomer's measure. Seeing the sword in its sheath at her hip, the silver rings of her chainmail armour, and the shield slung over her back, she doesn't need to breathe fire to kill this young knight. One snap of her jaws and the human will be as dead as the leaves upon the forest floor. "Stop! This is my stinky dragon," says the tiny knight, turning to attack the object of its vehement disaffection once again. The lady knight moves her hand in the direction of a sword, But Splat, with a tiny movement of her head, makes it very clear that the newcomer will never have time to draw her sword. The young knight looks from Splat to the tiny knight hacking away at the dragon's side and back again, torn with indecision. "What are you doing?" she yells, turning her attention to the tiny dragon slayer, who must surely be about to die as a result of her foolhardy actions. "What does it look like? Stabbing the stinky dragon," the tiny knight replies. "Stop, please, listen to me," she cries, tears welling in her eyes as she looks from the dragon to her young sister and back again. "Just turn around and go back the way you came," says Splat, the charm of her dragon spell instantly hypnotizing the young knight. "No, I can't," says the knight, taking one step back but trying to resist going any further. "If you want to live, then turn around and go back the way you came." "No, I can't." The dragon takes a moment to consider the situation, the tiny knight having stopped in exhaustion and now listening to the conversation. The dragon takes a long look at the tiny knight and then turns back to Tyra. "Take off your sword belt and lay it on the ground." "No, okay," says Tyra, finally relenting to the dragon spell. She takes off her sword belt and lays her weapon on the ground, now utterly helpless and sick with fear. "Now take 3 steps back." "Please, don't hurt her," Tyra says as she takes 3 steps back, wobbling on her feet. "Now, 1 more." "No," says Tyra, but she can't help but obey the dragon spell. She takes another step back. Splat slowly turns her head towards the tiny knight, keeping a careful eye on Tyra, still wobbling on her feet. "You know what? I think this little dragon slayer needs to try 1 more time." "1 more time?" the tiny knight asks. "1 more time." Okay." The tiny knight turns slowly and raises her wooden sword, bringing it forward to tap the dragon with as little force as she has left. Splat lets out a groan and rolls onto her side, letting her tongue hang out as she pretends to be dead. The dragon spell is suddenly broken, but Tyra sees that the dragon has one eye slightly open, watching for any sudden move. "I did it! Look, Tyra, I'm a real dragon slayer," says the tiny knight, jumping up and down and lifting her saucepan helmet to get a better look at the fallen dragon. "Yes, you did it, but we have to go now, okay?" "Now? Already? Where's the got here?" "Mum and Dad will be worried. They didn't know you saw a real dragon landing in the forest. We have to tell them the good news." "Do you think they'll give me a real sword and a tiny suit of armour?" "I don't know. How about we go ask them?" "Okay," says the tiny knight, still reluctant to leave the scene of a great victory, but having now been convinced by her older sister's coaxing. "Do you think the dragon will still be here when we get back?" I don't know. Maybe. I can't wait to tell Mum and Dad." "I'm sure they'll be very excited," says Tyra, slowly picking up her sword belt and backing away from the possum-playing dragon. She stops just before they disappear into the trees, taking a long last look to see if her eyes are deceiving her. The dragon looks like it is smiling. She smiles back, shaking her head in disbelief at what has just happened. Then they are gone, the sound of the tiny knight's chatter slowly fading into the distance. And that's the end of chapter 1. Sorry, it's confusing with I'll try to concentrate on the actual camera side of the phone. That's chapter 1 done, and there's lots more. I just haven't had time to record them, so I'll try and do that. I'm heading off to work now, and I'll be gone for a couple of weeks, but I can do it while I'm away. So hopefully next weekend you might get to hear chapter 2. Alright, yeah, see ya.